Okay. So our application problems are going to either be in slope intercept, y equals mx plus b, or point slope. It's the only two forms that we know. Okay? It tells us example 1, 2, and 3, we are going to use y equals mx plus b. Okay? This is for examples 1, 2, and 3. We are going to use y equals mx plus b. Okay? Which means that I'm going to have a slope and I'm going to have a b value, which means where you're going to start. Okay? Your b value is your y-intercept. It's where you start on your graph. And so we are going to have those two things being given to us. Okay? So in problem number 1, it says the Maple Car Rental Company charges a daily flat fee of $45 plus 35 cents per mile to rent a full-size car. Okay. It says write a linear model, that's the same thing as an equation, that gives the cost in terms of the number of miles driven. Okay. So we have to decide, is 45 representing our m, our slope, or is 45 representing b, our starting amount? And then if 35 cents per mile is representing the other one. Okay? Yes?
Would 35 be the slope?
Yes. 0.35 is your slope. This is your m value. And you might remember when we did notes on slope, I told you the key word for slope was per. So if you see the word per, that should mean that you are going to talk about your slope. Okay? You don't have to have a highlighter, you can just circle it. It's the only thing I'm highlighting. So if this is my m, then the $45 has to be my b value, has to be where I'm starting. And what this company says is that for you just to rent their car and not drive it any miles, it's going to cost you $45. Okay? And that's what that means. So when I write my equation, I'm going to have y equals 0.35, because it's 35 cents per mile, x plus $45. Okay, and then we're going to use that equation to answer a couple questions. So the first question says, what is the cost if you drive 25 miles? Okay, so hold on 1 minute. We have to figure out if 25 miles is going to go in for your y value or for your x value. It is your x value because it's 35 cents per mile. So mile is an x. This is an x value. So I'm going to say y equals 0.35 times 25 plus 45. Calculators are going to be useful, unless you're going to multiply that out in your head.
My calculator not in there.
Just grab a different one. What? $53.75. Yeah, but did you add the 45? Okay. So in order to drive that car for 25 miles, it's going to cost you $53.75. Okay. What mileage have you gone if you are charged $115? So if the Maple Car Rental Company is going to charge you $115, I want to know how many miles I can drive on that 115. So this is a y value. So I'm going to put 115 equals 0.35x plus 45. How do you solve that?
Divide on both sides.
Not first.
Oh, subtract first.
Subtract the 45,
I was already there.
and you get 70 equals 0.35x. It's 70 divided by 0.35. So that's 200 what? There are words there. You need to put words in your answer. Miles. So I can drive 200 miles with that car. That makes sense? Once you have your formula, then you should be able to substitute in. You're either going to substitute X or substitute Y.
So,
Okay, so number 2. The temperature at sunrise is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Each hour the temperature rises 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Write an equation that models the temperature Y in degrees Fahrenheit after X hours. What is the graph of the equation? Okay, so first of all, I like to underline important things. So I see this 30 degrees, and I see that it rises 6 degrees. And then it's also telling me what my Y is and what my X is. Okay? So we are going to use Y equals mx plus b because that was given to you. And again, you have two numbers. One's 30 and one's 6. One is going to be where you're starting, and the other one's going to be what it's increasing by. Okay? So if what is my B value? So when the temperature starts at sunrise, what's your temperature?
30.
30. So your B is 30. So that means 6 degrees is your X. Because it's changing. The temperature is going up by 6 degrees each hour. Is what that's saying. Okay? So, I want to graph this. Before I go to graphing, I want somebody to answer me this question. Well, here, I'm going to go back here to the front. This is my x-axis, and this is my y-axis. And our x is our hours. X is always time. So hours, days, years is always x. Okay? Y is always, in this problem, is degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? So I labeled those. But then here's my question. I'll give everybody a chance to label that. Normally when I have a graph, and you don't have to write this down. Normally when I have a graph, here's my x, here's my y, and it's divided into 4 sections, right? This is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. For my graph for this problem, I only have a quadrant 1. Okay, this is only in quadrant 1. Why is that?
because it's positive.
Because what's positive? You can have negative temperature. Your temperature can go down.
Both numbers are
We're
positive.
showing over.
What's positive?
Both numbers.
No, both numbers doesn't tell me what. Why does this can only be in the first quadrant?
Because rising is positive.
Nope. Think about time. Can you go back in time?
Oh, no.
No. So is there any way that I could have a negative amount of time? No.
I say it's like a month, like over a period of time.
Yeah. Okay? So that's the reason why we're only in the first quadrant.
Can it be in 4?
Okay? If we look at, okay, if we're going to scale, we have to put a scale. Obviously, we're going to start at 0. How should you scale your hours? And this says that the temperature rises each hour. So 1 would be good. So we're going to go up by 1s on our hours.
And in degrees, should we go by 10s?
And in degrees, you wouldn't go up by 1 because you have to start at 30. So going up by 10s would work. Some people went up by 5s. That's kind of your choice, okay? But choose something that's going to make sense. I guess if you wanted to go up by like 20s each time or 30s, you could have done that. I mean, temperature around here doesn't really get over 100 degrees, so I think this puts us right at 100.
About 110.
110. Okay. Okay, so where am I going to start when I graph y equals 6x plus 30? No,
30.
30. So I'm going to put a dot at 30. And then I'm going to put a table. And I want to know the temperature after 1 hour. So if I put 1 in for X, what's the temperature I will get out?
10.
What? 36. Okay. So at 1 hour, I'm at 36.
42.
At 2 hours, I'm at, what'd you say? 42. So I'm right above 40.
48.
At 3 hours, I'm at 48, and then I'm going to stop there because I should be able to see that this is a steadily increasing line because your temperature is going up by 6 degrees. Now, does that really work in the real world? Does our temperature go up by the same amount every hour?
No.
No. I mean, think about it here. You come to school, what is it, roughly maybe 55 degrees out when you come to school? 60? Okay? But right now, probably, I think today's temperature is supposed to be like 85 when you leave. So it's going to be relatively warm. So temperature doesn't really increase by the same amount each hour. That's my point. Questions on those two? 1, I'm substituting values in, and 2, I had to do a graph. Okay, so if we move to 3. 3 is still going to be y equals mx plus b. So the high-tech graphics bought a fax machine for $750. The fax machine depreciates at a rate of $25 a month. So it costs $75 and it depreciates at a rate of $25 a month. Or $750, not $750.
25.
Okay, so which is your starting amount? What? $750 is your B. Now, we need to talk about this word depreciate. Somebody define the word depreciate.
Isn't that going down?
When it goes down. So when your amount that something's worth goes down. So the most one would be like a car. Cars depreciate. Your cell phone depreciates. Okay? So it's going to be a subtraction sign. So your slope, your M value, will be a negative 25 because it's decreasing or depreciating. So my equation would look like y equals negative 25x plus 750. Okay, so that's all I want you to do. Now I want you to match it to a graph, and I'm going to label these so they are labeled, but it's really faint so you can see. Now, not only am I going to, we're going to get to the answer, but we're going to talk about some strategies if you have a multiple choice question. If you have four answers, what's the percentage of getting those right? The correct answer? 25%. 25%. Okay. If I only have 3 answers, what's the percent of getting that right?
50.
3?
It's 75, I mean. I'll be forgetting that.
Okay. So it's actually, you have 33% chance of getting it right. If I only have 2 answers, what's my percent of getting it right? 50%. Okay. So every time you can take off a question on a multiple choice, it makes you have a better chance of getting it correct. So if I'm looking at these 4 choices, is there any that I know it absolutely cannot be? And before you shout out the answer, you have to tell me why. So raise your hand. Which ones can I take off and why? Okay, so think about what your equation looks like. Y equals negative 25x plus 750. Tell me what you can take off and why. There's got to be more than 3 people, 4 people. Okay, John.
You could take away B
Okay, why can I take off B?
because the thing ain't go the money ain't gonna be the same over the months because it changes, it decreases.
Okay, so on
Is it
B,
0?
this has a slope of 0, which says that your machine would always be worth $750. That's what that graph's saying. We know that's not going to be true because it tells us it depreciates. Okay, what other one can I not use?
C,
C, why?
because it's going up and it says depreciate.
Yep, this would be appreciation. Appreciation means that you're increasing. And what we have is depreciation. So just by looking at those, I automatically gave myself a 50% chance of getting it right. So you have a 50-50 shot. Now, what's the difference between these two graphs that I have to choose from?
One's a
Well,
steeper
first
slope.
off-
Okay, so one is a steeper slope. D has a steeper slope than A. Okay? Do they both start at 750?
Oh, close.
Yeah, they could. One looks like it's at 700, one looks at 750. But if we wanted to make sure, we could also look at this point right here and this point and which one would make sense. So I want to know, when will my machine be worth nothing? When is it worth zero amount? Where would I put the zero? Would I put that for X or would I put it for Y? You would put it for Y because X is your months. So if I put 0 in here for Y, okay, so Y represents your cost. 750 is your cost. X represents your months that you own it, or years, or I guess it's months because it's in months here. So tell me when my machine would be worth nothing. If I were to put that in there, could you solve this? 0 equals negative 25x plus 750.
Yeah, but you'll get it. No, you will get a positive number.
Was it 30?
You get, it is 30, I believe. If I subtract 750, you get negative 750 divided by 25. So you get 30. So which one looks like, if my scale on my x-axis goes over to 40, which one looks like 30? A. You could also have looked at where it starts. This one starts, it looks like at 750. This one starts, it looks like at 700. So, but just to make sure. Okay? But any time, and several of you will be taking multiple different tests this year and next year for either your career or for college or trade school or wherever you plan on going, and anytime you can rule out one of the multiple choice questions, it's a good thing. Okay, number 3. This is the first one that is in point slope form. Okay? And it says 2 points. That means the information that I'm going to give me is going to give me 2 points here. Okay? So it says, in the year 2000, the population of Smithville was 2,100 people. And in the year 2010, it had grown to 3,500 people. Okay, if I have to write an ordered pair, because it says 2 points, what represents my X? And if you listened to me before, you should know. Is it going to be years or people that represent X? Years, because years is time. So this is going to be year, and this is going to be people. So, it says, find the average rate of change. What's another word for average rate of change? Slope. So I'm going to write 2 ordered pairs. The first ordered pair would be 2,000 and 2,100. And the next ordered pair would be 2,100 is 2,100. The next one is 2,010 and 3,500 people. Calculate your slope. Everybody in here should be able to calculate your slope. If you forget, the slope formula is on the board.
I ain't got no calculator.
We'll just write it down and then.
Y minus Y, How do you tell which one's the Y and Y1?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
So let's see. So we get 140 what?
Oh,
What is that, 140 years?
yeah.
140 people? Which one is it? People. It's 140 people per year it's increasing by. Okay, so now I need to write the equation. If I'm going to write the equation, I know it already told me that it's going to be in point slope. Does it matter which point I choose?
No.
No. Choose one, and there's your slope. This is exactly what we did on the opener. Okay, so this is going to be y minus 2,100 equals 140 parentheses or quantity x minus 2,000. Or, and you only have to write one of them, y minus 3,500 equals 140 x minus 2010. Okay, use your equation to predict the population in the year 2017. Okay, 2017, is that an X value in my ordered pair or is that a Y value in my ordered pair?
X.
Okay, so this is an X value. So when I choose my equation, am I going to substitute it in for Y or for X? For X. Okay, so I'm just going to do the first equation. It doesn't matter. You will get the same answer no matter which equation you use. So we're going to have y minus 2,100 equals 140, 2017 minus 2,000. You guys have your calculators.
These numbers.
So 2017 minus 2,000 is 17. And then 140 times 17 is 2,380. And then I'm going to add 2,100 to,
You got 17 up there.
because I had to subtract my years. Did you use the same equation? Or did you use the other one?
I thought you supposed to just check first.
4,000.
You're going to get y equals 4,480 what? Years or people?
People.
Okay, so the last question says, in what year would you expect the population to reach 5,000 people? Is that an X value or a Y value?
1.
This is Y. Go back to how you defined your ordered pairs. That's a Y value. So I'm going to put this in for Y. So I'm going to have 5,000 minus 2,100 equals 140 X minus 2,000.
2,940.
think you get 2020.71. I think so.
Got it.
Is that right?
Did I get that? I don't think I
Do you want me to move it in?
did. 1, 2.
Does that help you?
Yeah.
To see it? When are you getting your glasses?
I got an appointment on the 14th.
On the 14th. Okay. So next week. Okay, so sometime in the year 2020, the population would be 5,000 people. That's what that means. So this is sometime in 2020.